Perth on a typical Sunday morning, serene and still sleeping after a busy week. The city recharges its batteries. But not everyone is asleep. All through the night there's been great activity. A busy climax to a week's hard work has come together in its final shape. Soon, these families will join 250,000 families throughout Western Australia enjoying their big Sunday read, the Sunday Times. The Sunday Times has been a Sunday morning tradition in Western Australia since 1897. The Sunday Times is a household word to every member of the Western Australian community. The Sunday Times is the biggest tabloid newspaper in Australia and one of the biggest in the world. The Sunday Times prints more than 250,000 copies each and every Saturday night and Sunday morning. Each issue uses more than 220 tonnes of newsprint and 5 tonnes of ink. That's enough newsprint to stretch from Perth to Darwin. In fact, it's as far north as Darwin that our air edition is distributed and as far south as the Great Southern Ocean. In the quiet first hours of Sunday morning, a whole F-28 jet is hastily converted for its once-a-week paper run. Thousands of copies of the Sunday Times are crammed into its cargo holds and many more are stacked into the specially converted seats normally occupied by passengers. By 10 a.m. Sunday morning, people as far north as tropical Kununurra are settling down to read their copy of the Sunday Times. Distance is no barrier. The first Sunday Times was printed in December 1897, Christmas time in Perth, the young, brash, swaggering town of the West, born out of the gold rush and with a future just as bright and rich. Idealistic drive and determination led Charles Vosper to first print the Sunday Times. It was a big broadsheet of 8 pages with a circulation to match. Today, almost 1,000 people make up the team needed to produce the Sunday Times. All these people are coordinated towards the goal of getting the Times out onto the street on time. For time is the essence of any newspaper, daily or weekly, and the deadlines are the key.
Yeah, but also, as the point that is made, is that a lot of kids are being forced into the TAE, to go to the TAE, when in fact...
Well, we went through pretty thoroughly.
From the first editorial meeting of the week, topics are discussed, special features planned, and schedules are set. Planning is critical in producing a successful weekly newspaper. It must have the same freshness as a daily, even though some of the features are prepared well ahead of printing time. Plans change with the turn of events. Stories have to be scrapped. Suddenly, the best planned scoops are spiked. What was 1 minute hot news is the next old hat. A week's work, 1,000 jobs, and the result you can hold in your hand.
That's under wrecking, starting Honda Z, all parts, 600cc motor, good con, 362-3397.
Everyone can advertise in the Sunday Times. Even individuals can benefit. The classified section of the Sunday Times is one of the big success stories in modern Australian newspapers. From bikes to bricks, computers to cars, you can buy, sell or swap anything in the Reader's Mart. But when you put your money on the counter to purchase your weekly copy of the Sunday Times, the price barely covers the cost of newsprint, let alone other big production and distribution costs. It's here the impact of advertising revenue becomes clear. Most business houses in Perth would agree that the Sunday Times is the most rewarding way of advertising their goods and services. Then there's spot colour within the paper, and glossy full-colour catalogues too. It's all part of the production scene at the Sunday Times.
Copy. Thanks.
The stories, the news and the ads are transformed from paper into metal words and pictures, then compiled into whole metal pages using mechanical and engraving processes. From the composing room, the pages are again transformed through a system of moulding and remoulding. First into a paper mache flong, and then into a stereo printing plate. The plates are then locked onto the cylinders of the presses, and the enormous machine comes to life like a waking giant. Within minutes, the papers are pumped out at full speed. Up through the conveyors and down into the publishing room, they snake their predetermined path. Whereas once lumbering old presses thumped and wheezed into the night, today our goss presses race along producing 80,000 copies an hour. No boundaries have been held sacred in this technological age. One of the greatest changes in the newspaper industry is yet to come. Computerisation and automation are just around the corner. It will be in the composing room that the changes will be felt most. Chattering linotype machines will soon be a thing of the past. The reporter's room too will witness change. Once scribes hunched over their desks imparting their stories in an eloquent hand. More recently, the angry chatter of the typewriter. All to give way to silent video display terminals. Stories will be written upon their screens, rearranged, stored in a computer memory, and ultimately delivered ready for paste up at the press of a button. The end product will be essentially the same product that has stood the test of time. After printing, hundreds of thousands of copies are bundled, labelled, tied and stacked. Then consigned into the dark night in trucks which prowl the outside streets waiting for their load. Then rushing through quiet streets to corner delis, local newsagents and sleepy country towns. From house to house, town to town and right throughout Western Australia, people will still expect their Sundays to begin with the Sunday Times.